Okay, so welcome, Fan and Pontus,
Right.
GSC, LA, and GAC mothership in China, respectively. So we're here to talk about the new car launch. Fan, why don't you tell us, what it is? Because we've seen some really exciting work from the studio recently from Pontus's side. It has been made real over in on your side. But give us the lowdown.
Yeah. Thank you, James. Hi, everybody. Here we are very excited to talk about a very exciting upcoming new car. It's like super sports car coming from us, from GSC. Um, we as a Chinese or let's say as international brand, but originate from China. We have been developing cars for almost 16, 17 years. But all of the cars are for normal customers.
Hmm.
They're daily using cars. But at certain points, you ask yourself, is that enough? Um, because there are always some dreams about making supercars for the car makers as we are, also especially for us car designers as we are. We always have this kind of a dream to one day, if we're lucky enough, we got the chance to develop and design a super sports car. And here we come. So I guess we are lucky enough. Now we actually have worked on a super sports car project, and the car is about to launch. I think next week, in the middle of next week, we will have our debut of this car, and also the production is already in the pipeline. So yeah, it's exciting.
They're very exciting, and we've seen sports cars come out. There's been a series actually that we've covered on Car Design News. The last one being the N Pulse. I wonder if you could share it. Does it, how much DNA does it share with that lineage, particularly the N Pulse? What there are similarities,
Yeah,
resemblances, and evolutions even.
yeah. Actually, I should not talk too much about design details about this car. I don't want to kind of break the uh, kind of the expectation or the mysterious um, kind of expectation for this car, upcoming sports car. But um, I also don't want to lie or talk something nonsense. So actually, this car, what we are developing right now, is based on what we have launched 2 years ago as a concept car, Impulse.
Mm.
But yeah, but what's very important is this. But the car has different proportion. The car, because of the requirement for its ultra performance, so actually we made the proportion even more extreme for this car. We have the code name as AS9. Um, and we have a mission to get the 0 to 100 kilometers acceleration, hopefully within 1.9 seconds. So yeah,
It's fun.
it's crazy. It's crazy,
Mm.
but we are working on that. So we hope we could eventually achieve that. Then, therefore, the car actually could be a record breaker, at least for the acceleration. But of course, super sports car is not only used for accelerating in speed, but also the handling itself, how to curving, and how you really make the car and the driver be as one to really enjoy the drive.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, we're trying to make this car as ideal as all of those super sports cars in the world. But meanwhile, we have to really, apart from the design, we also need to be really down to earth to tackle all the important issues about the platform, the suspension, the handling, driving, weight distribution, air performance, efficiency, all those kind of issues. We're working on that. So for a certain area, we have to change, modify, optimize the basic structure of the car. And the good news is, along with all the development, the proportion gets better and better, gets more and more extreme, more and more dramatic. So that's why I can say the original design actually comes from the Impulse show car, but this upcoming production car, this AS9 for now as an internal code, will be even more dramatic. So yeah, we wait and see. We wait and see. Another point I would like to share with you is also makes me feel very, very proud of is the original Impulse show car actually is initiated by us as designers. Like I said, we as designer, we always have a dream of designing a sports car. So at certain point, we thought, okay, we've done enough commuting cars for normal everyday use. How about coming up an idea to make a really, really dramatic sports car, especially in this EV age, like you have all the electric technology that you can really make car drive faster and also give a car new kind of a form and form language to define it. So we 2 years ago we came up with this Impulse show car. We had a quite intensive internal design competition. Fortunately, our dear LA colleagues, they won the competition, and therefore they carry out the whole project. They develop the exterior, interior, also give very inspiring ideas for CMF, and eventually we had the Impulse. The car has been launched, received very, very positive feedback from all aspects. I guess all those very, very warm, positive feedback somehow really affected our top management. At certain point, they decide, okay, we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna turn this car, even though it is just a show car for now, but we're gonna turn it into production. So when I heard that news, I was so happy. I was so thrilled by this news. I was over the moon. And I shared this news to my colleagues in Guangzhou and also in LA. I think Pontus and his team also feel very happy and proud, but he didn't be happy too much, too long, because then we start facing the challenge that we have to put this car, put the design, original design, in a new package for the production requirements in very, very short time. This is also kind of a never happened before. And I think Pontus probably can give you more stories about all the suffer and challenges they have experienced.
No, that's a good point. And let's bring in Pontus, because yes, your team was very much behind the Impulse, a car I still don't think you've seen actually in the metal. But yes, I gather it was a pretty rapid timeline, and you had to get your skates on with this one.
Thanks, James, and thanks, Fan. I mean, obviously, again, this is a super aggressive timeline, and Fan said sometime just before Christmas. I guess you're not going to have Christmas break, Pontus. But in all honesty, this was probably the best Christmas gift we ever could have, because, as Fan said, this was initiated, and then it's been a victory for the design department, both headquarters and the satellite studios, and how we can affect decisions. Now, we did the Impulse concept car, which was very natural because we took a lot of wisdom and what we learned when it comes to aero from the Eno 146, and we had the theme there, and then it's all about innovation and what would a sports car would be for the Chinese domestic market, which actually doesn't have a heritage of such. And we don't want to do a cliche. It's an EV platform. We want to do something more modern. So we live in this era of hyper innovation, and we touch on this subject many times also on the webinar we had here not a long time ago with Barney and Dave. What is the future of a sports car? And we question every part of it. And one of the things that Fan said, it's very much show off, right? And it's impossible when you have an open car not to show off, because it's the attention of everyone. But as Fan said, it's really a victory, working victory for us, because when we did Impulse, we all wanted to put it in production. And I was always like, what is happening? Do we have a decision? But we also fed them with, first we did a coupe proposals in clay, and then we send a race car version, and we send many, many variants of this. And I think Fan was lobbying and bombarding his executives all the time. Yeah. And then we came in the lobby, and I know the Impulse was very well achieved and very well appreciated. And they took it forever because we did some other package and architecture, and we thought we could do it like this. But it was not until then, before Christmas last year, that they gave the green light. And then they said, well, deadline is in May or in April or something like that. And I'm like, oh, God, here we go. And then we started doing the Impulse Fan. And then some people changed their mind. No, maybe we want to have something different. So we redid a whole new car with a new design as well. And without saying too much, of course, we came back to more of what we already did with Impulse, which was correct in many aspects, but we just turned up the volume a little bit in everything. So again, obviously, it was almost like musical chairs. We just had to stop at one time, and we couldn't refine it, or we get everything in the final production car maybe as we wanted if we would have a little bit longer time. But it's always the case, right? You can go on forever and ever, and we had to meet the agreement of this has to be finished to be able to present it and launch the car, and then in order to fulfill the SOP. So I think again, maybe even tougher this time, Fan. But I mean, we are super happy and privileged to be a satellite studio and have so much impact on a production car. But again, we could never do it with our team in China and headquarters. And we did the Impulse without even seeing it digital. I think this is one notch higher up, It's a production car. And at least the Impulse, I saw a clay of it, Fan. When we were down and we saw each other 2.5 years ago. This one, we guesstimate as good as we can, but it's thrilling. It's thrilling, and I can't wait, and the team can't wait to actually see this car.
Sorry, James, you see, this is a very interesting point that Pontus just mentioned, that nowadays designers, they don't see their work. They just do in everything in virtual tool, build a 3D model and evaluate the model in different kind of software and send out the data to another place, like another kind of a half of the globe. And then we milled out, we check in clay, and we kind of feedback what should be changed. And we do this ping pong several times until we got the kind of a ideal situation. And I think this is something completely new, never happened before. And this also requires a lot of I would say art inside, like the skills we have, like how to handle 3D software, but also how to make the smooth communication between different teams in such a remote way, and also how to manage the schedule of the whole thing, and also how to get the right point being expressed in the right way, and therefore, people in different country with different language, with different kind of culture background, they still could be smooth the communication in such a very efficient way. I think this has never done before, and we have achieved it. So that's why, apart from we have achieved amazing sports car, I think we also have achieved this collaboration between different teams, work towards one goal. While we also there are a lot of bumps and hardship in between for sure, but we successfully overcome all of them. And with all those experience, I think that will be very treasurable for our future, how to further kind of utilize our advanced studio, and then bonding even closer to the headquarters to work out something fantastic. So
it's interesting as well to have that sort of collaboration between studios, but then also I think what's interesting is this kind of the idea of this being a kind of victory for the design studio, in that they made something happen at a sort of boardroom level. Like you made a very good case for something that isn't necessarily, I mean, sports cars aren't necessarily hugely unit shifters. They can be seen as maybe perhaps a bit of a risk, and and so you've made this kind of case for design having a how do you say, a kind of a place at the table, if you like, in these kind of executive decisions.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned the very, very right point of the whole thing. Just like I mentioned at the beginning, I think we are lucky. When you say you are lucky, it means you work hard, but your work also come in time, in the right moment. And for that right moment, for us, it is, GAC has two self-owned brands. One is GAC Motor. In China, we call it Chuanqi. Another one is actually a new start EV company called Aion, AION.
Yeah.
This company just started like 5 years ago, almost from scratch. And so far, this company has produced 5 production cars, all EV cars, and they are selling pretty good. Very successful so far, just within 5 years. And now, the Aion is seeking for IPO alone.
Right.
So, to be able to successfully get IPO done, they need to further expand their product range, and also need to further elevate the brand image. Like I said previously, we've done a lot of kind of everyday normal commuting cars, but at a certain point we need to have a very, very special product to show off what company eventually want to be, and also further elevate the overall brand image for this new brand. So here comes this opportunity, and then here comes the need for building up this super sports car.
So this could come out under the Aion brand then, Fan?
Yes.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Okay, hence the AS9.
Actually, like I mentioned, this car will be launched middle of next week. Actually, this week already.
Yes,
today is Monday. Yeah. And
Perfect.
the event is not only for the launch of the car, and also it will be the new launch of a new logo for this brand.
Right.
So Aion previously always used the GAC G logo, but from this day on, Aion will have its own logo. And just for the record, we also are the designers behind that logo. So super proud of that.
Yes, and it's interesting to have that kind of input on, because design should probably feed into every level of of a car company, from the showroom design to the logo design to the actual car design. You've got design all unified under a common language. I'm interested in this idea that this is a much more extreme version of the N-Pulse, because the N-Pulse was pretty extreme itself. And I remember the refulgent yellow interior, pink seat belts.
Right.
I think had fan. I mean, are we going to see? Could it get more extreme than that, or is it going to be a slightly toned down on the interior to be a bit more palatable to more people? I don't know. Could you share any details on that, either of you two? Maybe Pontus, that's one for you.
No, I mean, Fan, what do you think? What do you think? More extreme?
Well, what I can tell now, the interior is not yellow anymore. It's
Right.
going for something opposite. But the level of extreme kind of performance, I think we didn't tone it down. We didn't want to tone it down. No. Like I said, this is something new. Even though it's going to be a production car, but it's going to represent a new brand for new species of a car based on a new powertrain on a new platform. So everything's new. So design represent the idea behind that. We want to create a new world, not going back to the old world. So that's why we don't want to tone down anything. And instead, we actually want to make this car really loud in a nice way, in a decent way.
Yeah. No,
it still have the flair and the modernism. Otherwise, we would have lost the whole kind of foundation of the thinking of the Impulse. It was to innovate and create something new rather than to copy something old. If we would have done like a brown saddle leather, and then what does that bring? What does that bring? Because there's so many car manufacturers that done it in the past and still does it very, very well. So that is not interesting for us. And I have to also say, like, it sounds very easy now, Fan, because, well, all right, we made it. But, in the past, maybe you did a car in 5 years. And then, of course, we do a car in less than 2 years and everyone doing faster. But if we compress it to 5 months, and then you can imagine that we change that many, many times, because it is compressing a normal design process. And the thing is that we are here in LA and Fan is in China with his team and most of the engineers as well. We have one in-house engineer that has been absolutely crucial for this project. But it's a lot of faith. As we said, because Fan will do his normal kind of thing. Pontus, I think the front overhang a little bit longer, and then we do it and then change. Now when we change that, maybe the rear, should we do it wider? And we morph this car quite a lot, many, many times. And then obviously, since this is, as Fan said, this is a super important, this is a halo car for Aion, and it is a sports car, and everyone wants to have their bit of it. So you can imagine our hungry and dedicated executives that have the responsibility for a completely new brand. They also want to have their say, as always, right? And then have, all right, so we start with a carryover part, and then this works good, and then 2 months later this doesn't work, and then we have to change everything. So it is actually quite a big tear up. Both what Fan and my normal job is to find the right proportion and design, but also to embrace what comes from our executives as their demand and engineering. And it's all kind of done in a very short time. So it's been hard, but what else do you want to do? I mean, in all honesty, I mean, as Fan says, like, if you don't do this and you enjoy it, even if it's tough, I think you're in the wrong business. This has been great fun.
To find another career, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yet no, it is a halo car, as you say, and Fan. So this is going to be aimed at the sort of a much higher end audience. Is that the plan with this the AS9? It's going to be Are we verging on a kind of supercar tier, or is it going to be seen? I mean, you tell me, because I'm very intrigued as to where this might sit.
Right. We did the the Impulse concept car, our idea was more humble. Actually, we wanted to use the EV car, EV technology, design a sports car for actually young people. That's even young people who worked maybe 5 years, 7 years, who are able to afford this kind of a car. So that's why I say previously the proportion was not so extreme, but it was still in a rather tamed way. Therefore, shall not be super hyper expensive look. It was a kind of a fancy look, but was not super hyper expensive. But after the decision has been made, we're gonna make a halo car, and then also this car will be the representative of a new brand image. So therefore, the mission of this car has been changed. It was, I should say, this is not the same as originally how we developed the concept car, but it rather turned into something to kind of pursue a high level as much as possible. So eventually, like I said, we further exaggerate the proportion. We make the even wider track. Even the car is also longer and even lower. Everything gets more extreme. We just want to make a real sports car. And if we could get into that kind of very special elite sports car kind of the circle, that would be our goal. But we are able to go there not because we just designed it in the kind of a similar form. We are able to be there because this car has the performance. It has carried out certain technology that not only, like I said, reflect the whole automobile industry has been achieved in the past, but more to in light what could be coming in the future, and something using the EV technology could make the car, the driving pleasure, still as excited, if not even more excited, but also bring something new experience to the drivers. So this will be our goal. The price, yeah, it's a very sensitive topic. I'm not in charge of the marketing, so I cannot say about that. So you will know maybe later this week. They will probably publish some information about that, but definitely it's not going to be something cheap. It's not going to be what we originally want, going to be affordable for young people. I think if you have reached that, you probably are able to afford that. Otherwise, you work in the kind of a startup, and then you get your company into IPO in very short time, and then you become finance free. Then you probably can buy dozens of that. Otherwise, I think for normal people, this car will be something very special. Will, no matter its look, its performance, and also even for its price, I think they are all becoming the topics people are going to talk about.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, we can't wait to see it. Obviously, the launch is just around the corner.
Right.
So maybe we'll reconvene once it's out and we can have another discussion, because I know that details, you have to remain a little bit careful about how much you say to anyone to spoil the surprise. But anyway, for today, I think that's really great, and thanks very much for spending the time to speak to us, Fan and Pontus of GAC with the AS9 for the new Aion brand.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Fan.
Thank you, James.
Stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. I hope after our description of it, you will still have a lot of expectation, and the real car, once you see it, you don't, those expectations don't fail.
Yeah,
That's what I
I'm
think.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure, 'cause I did really enjoy the Impulse, and I know this is a step up because that almost that summoned the spirit of things like the Miata, didn't it? And this idea of having a roadster that would be a bit more everyman, if you like. But this is it sounds like the sort of step up. Actually, that's an interesting thing. Do you think that you might see kind of once the Halo car is out, are there going to be sort of junior versions? You know, is this something you're going to evolve into a little family of cars, or is it just going to be this one Halo car to sit alongside the sort of the more kind of, I don't know, prosaic offerings, I suppose?
So far, we want to make this car happen and want to make it successful.
Yeah.
There's another thing, maybe just extended several minutes. There were this kind of cases before in Chinese car industry, especially with some startup. They at beginning just to try to catch the attention from the public, so they developed some kind of a super sports car, but none of them actually got the chance into being put into the market and being sold to the real customers, and so they are just a showing piece. But for our case, this one is for real.
Yeah.
So this one will be planned for production, at least for like 1,000 of the pieces will be produced and be sold. So this is a real business, a huge investment as well. And we just hope we could. Actually, this is when we dig into that, we found this actually is a empty market.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either you get something from exotic, from Italy, from Ferrari, Lamborghini, but actually you don't have many other choices.
No.
Actually, especially with EV cars, and I think we do. There's a chance we can actually catch up this amazing opportunity. Maybe we can make this car super successful in the future. You never know. You never know.
If I may add to that, James, I mean, of course, we are very humble that you say you enjoy the Impulse a lot, and maybe, designers, we always look forward. So, of course, we were speaking about this car, codename AS9, as Impulse 2.0, right? And we want to do it more extreme, and the project was going in one direction for a moment. And of course, we done the coupe version and the race car version and a speedster version and many other versions like in digital, right? And displayed like, this is all the possibilities of it. And it just looked like when we had that, and I'm looking forward and Fan is looking forward, let's do something new, because the Impulse is 1.5, 2 years old already, we want to look forward and do something new. And then it's almost like, can we call it the 911 curse? What in the 70s, Porsche wanted to tune out the 911. They came with a 940, 924, 944, and the 928.
928, yeah.
And everyone was so much in love with the 911, so they brought it back. And this was what we heard all the time. Fans says like, yeah, we looked at the new design, it's really good. However, they love the Impulse. Everyone loves the Impulse. So they had the coupe, they had the Impulse next to it, and everyone was referring to that. So we had to stick with our guns. As Fan said, we did everything what we learned from the coupe, which we have done a wider track, and then we had done a more extreme version as well, virtually. And we took what we learned from this, when it comes to proportion or whatever, and then looked at the package. But yeah, we had to stick with that one. But I'm happy to hear that you like it.
Super fun. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I'm probably a bit too. I'm not sure I was a target demographic. I don't know if I'm cool enough to sit in a kind of yellow interior car. So that was my one reservation about the Impulse, was probably a bit too much for me. But I think you really caught onto something there, and I think this amped up version with the volume turned up, I'm sure is going to be very, very.
Yeah, but don't forget, it will be highly customized, for the customer's needs, like any kind of car in that genre, So you have your personalized options and choices, James. So don't hesitate.
So I could have a sort of more sort of toned down version, perhaps.
Yeah, we definitely can do that for you, James.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah, for your information, we will start taking order from end of this week.
Oh, I best get mine in then.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Fan and Pontus. That was a really interesting discussion, and very interested to see, obviously, the results very shortly.
All right. We start to work for a special James edition.
Right.
I send you work after Fan sign them off to you, so you can expect the end of this week then.
Okay. Wonderful. Another tight deadline for you, Pontus.
No problem. Everything for you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Fan. Thank you, James, so much.
All right.
Stay tuned.
You guys have a nice day. And I need to go to bed.
Yes. Thank you for staying up so late.
Sure.
My
My pleasure.
I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.